Frank was heading home late from work. His route took him through an old city park where the streetlights hadn't worked in years. Darkness and silence enveloped the area, and only the sound of his footsteps broke the oppressive atmosphere. Halfway through the park, he noticed something unusual in the shadows of the trees. At first, Frank thought he was seeing things, but as he looked closer, he saw a figure standing nearby. It was a person in a bright clown costume with a face as pale as chalk and lifeless eyes staring directly at him. The clown stood motionless, not saying a word. In his hands was a huge balloon, and Frank felt a chill run down his spine. He quickened his pace, hoping to leave the park as quickly as possible, but with every step, he heard a rustling sound, as if someone was following him. Glancing back, he saw the clown was now behind him, gliding across the ground as if floating. The clown's face showed nothing but emptiness, yet his eyes held something dark, like a black void. Frank quickened his pace, but the clown kept getting closer. Panic surged through him, and he started to run. But the faster he moved, the closer the clown came. The balloon in the clown's hands began to swell until it was as big as his head. Frank burst out of the park and stopped to catch his breath. The street outside was bright, and he turned to make sure the clown was still in the park. But the park was gone. All that remained was an empty space where trees and pathways had been just moments before. Frank trembled with fear, looking around in confusion. Suddenly, he felt something touch his shoulder. He turned and found the clown inches from his face. The balloon was now fully inflated, and with a wild laugh, the clown released it. The burst of air hit Frank directly in the face, and at that moment, he realized something was very wrong. The clown seemed to shrink, as if dissolving into the air, while Frank collapsed to the ground, darkness overtaking him. When the police found Frank's body the next day, his face was twisted into a horrifying grimace, and a torn balloon lay beside him. But no one could explain what had happened that night in the park. In the dark corners of the city, people began to whisper about the clown who waits in the shadows for his next victim.